Hey everybody, welcome to the QuiverCast.
You go left, I go right. Man, this wave is out of sight. Going surfing, going surfing, going surfing.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the QuiverCast. Today we have Rusty Preisendorfer here.
Perfect.
It's been a lot of practice.
Yeah, PT, he's one of my best friends, and he still fucks it up. Well, he's sorry.
It's okay.
He still messes it up.
But you know what? He does have an accent, so he has an excuse.
Mate. Yeah.
Let's talk about PT. How long have you guys been friends?
Since 1971.
There's that picture out there?
Yeah.
That's rad.
Oh, that's a little bit later. No, I met him at the World Contest in Ocean Beach, 1971.
Okay.
And then a couple of years later, January of 74, I went to Australia for the first time to the Gold Coast. And I was there for 3 months. And PT was in Hawaii, but about halfway through my trip, he ended up, he came back and we hooked up. And I met Rabbit then too. And Rabbit was like one of the first real top pros to ever. He was, he had just won the 18 Queensland Championships or something. He just won that one, so I got to know Rabbit on that trip too. You know, between Greenmount and Kira on a big swell, there's a left that breaks out in the middle there. I had 3 boards with me. The longest board I was riding one day out there, and he kind of said, you know, when you leave, would you mind leaving? Could I buy that board off you? I go, sure, mate. So,
So that's how you guys made friends?
yeah,
Chatting on the water?
Yeah.
That's cool. How was the lineup then? Was it crowded?
No, I mean, during the week, having Kira Point, get all the way as you want. Weekends is a little bit crowded. Greenmount was like a longboard wave back then. Snapper Rocks is a short bowly wave. And as the years went by, they started dredging the river around, Duramba or whatever. It filled in and it became, what it is now, the Superbank. But back then, Greenmount was more of a longboard wave.
A little softer?
Yeah, and Kira Point was like the go-to. And then Burley was good too. Burley was my first surf when I got off when I landed in Queensland.
Off the plane?
Yeah.
So then you and PT hit it off?
Yeah, we stayed in touch. Back then there was no cell phones. And,
No.
Yeah, everything was by letter. We'd write letters once in a while and catch up with them, in Hawaii. And gosh, I don't know, 78? I'm not sure. I can't remember. It's a long time ago. But, he moved to the U.S. and he was with the Bronzed Aussies. And Ian, I'd got to know Ian too. And Ian formed, I think it was the ASP, and I still remember Ian, visiting, like Randy Rarick or in Hawaii, and I started judging too, like 1979. I don't know if I'm kind of
you talked about judgment. You can talk about it again.
Yeah, I started. After the first contest I judged was the Stubby's Trials at Blacks, 1979, and then. After that, I got invited to go to Hawaii, and I got to do the Duke and a couple of the Pipe Masters. I did about 4 or 5 Pipe Masters and a lot of the OP Pros. PT is pretty instrumental in helping me develop my career.
How so?
Well, when I was at Canyon, I'd signed my boards, so I didn't really have a logo or anything, and I wasn't sure, to sign it Russ Preisendorfer or Russell, and he goes, mate, just call him Rusty.
Yes. Smart.
Yeah. So in the room next door, there's a big framed piece that PT put together for me. That was the evolution of the logo.
Yep.
And,
that's awesome.
Yeah. We still touch base, a couple times a month, and he's still traveling and still doing lots of media stuff.
Do you think? I think so, but I'm not. Your opinion? Is he one of the biggest ambassadors of surfing?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, he's been at it for 55 years, I guess. Yeah.
And he's approachable.
Yeah.
He's super approachable.
Yeah. Some people think he's a bit egotistical, but he's just he's an ambassador, and he's got his wealth of knowledge. He's got storage units that are full of all the magazines.
Wow.
Yeah, his birthday's 2 weeks before mine, and so wish him happy birthday. And wonderful person.
Personally, I love the guy. He's great.
Oh yeah, he's awesome.
I have lots of questions, and we've done this. So this is part 3 with Rusty. First person ever to do 3 parts.
So triple header.
That's it right there. 3.0. You've been in the limelight for a long time in the surf world. Is it hard to be in the limelight over all these years where everyone, you make the news if something happens, good or bad?
I don't really think about it. I when I look back on, all the years I've been shaping and all the great surfers I've made boards for, and sometimes, I try not to get a big head, but sometimes what I love to do is I like to make people happy. I just want to make good boards. They don't have to be a pro. They can be a bro. And I just like to make people. I want to help them with their surfing and help them advance. And a lot of times people take my advice. Sometimes they don't. Yeah. Sometimes they know more than I do. So okay, the customer's always right. But that's what brings me happiness in life is doing. I love what I do and I do what I love, and so be it.
I mean, in the surf world, you're famous. Is that hard to live by? Do you have to watch what you do? I guess is a question. Or can you just be Rusty? Does that make sense?
I'm pretty comfortable with my skin.
Okay.
When I turned 60, I was having some marital issues, and I was kind of in a dark hole for like 10 or 12 years. But about a year ago, I got sober and I started working out twice a day. And I just feel like I have a new life. I'm 73, but every day I sit out in front of the factory. I call it my vitamin D session. I take my shirt off, I get a little bit of color. My doctor, he's a dear old friend. He was a La Jolla Shores Grom, and he went to medical school, and he's a couple of years younger than me. He goes, dude, you're getting younger.
Yeah. Going back to the limelight. So I'm flicking through magazines last night. Decisive Moments at Random from Surfer Magazine, and it shows a picture of you and Aki in April 1996. And so they're using this as a history point.
All right,
in the 2000s. That's what I mean about the limelight. The camera's pointed at it. They see you and you're talking to Aki. You don't even know you're having a conversation with a man one-on-one. Yeah. Someone's taking a shot at you.
Yeah. And like I said, I haven't really been out. I've been kind of, out of the public eye for about the last 12 years, and I'm out and about a little bit more now. But yeah, I mean, this boardroom show is nice, because I went the last couple of years, but I still kind of like coming out of my little dark hole. And this year, it was so great to see all of my old friends. I mean, Eric Arakawa, I've spent over 50 winters on the North Shore shaping, and my last 10 or 12 were at Eric's place. And he's not a close friend, but he's a good friend and a wonderful person. And Pat Rawson, he's a dear old friend. I used to stay at his place in the early 80s. And Pat's like, he's an amateur psychiatrist or psychologist. Great pianist. He's a wonderful guy. I saw Morris Cole. More in 1993. I did something with Morris Cole. And I over the years I did. Like in the late 80s, I did 100 boards with Simon Anderson, and he came and stayed with me in my house in Claremont. And Morris Cole, early 90s. He came. He didn't really stay at my house, but I still have vivid memories of us all sitting around the island in the kitchen, like coloring his little, his little Aboriginal guy
art.
Yeah. Me and my 2 kids, Clint and Avalon, hand coloring the art, and then I went to France a couple of times, and Pat was there, and we had a lot of good memories. I was there late May and June, and the sun sets late, and I'd work until late in the evening, and then go for an evening surf, and then sun sets about 10:30, and
wow,
have dinner, and we had a couple of cool, I forget where, but a couple of cool jam sessions with Pat, on keyboard, and Tom Curran on guitar, and Morris was on bongos or something. I just sat and watched and listened, but it was pretty cool.
When people stay with you or you stay with them, what's it like? Is it waking up in the morning, you say good morning and you guys go separate ways? Or are you guys bullshitting, going to dinner together and having beer?
Yeah. We'll go to dinner and stuff. Yeah. And over the years, I've had a lot of good shapers, great shapers stay at my house in La Jolla. And he's a Brazilian chap. Yeah, Johnny. He stayed at my house one summer. Very humble, sweet person. Yeah. So yeah, back to the boardroom show is great. Catch up with all a lot of old friends and seeing what people are doing.
Are you drawing ideas off other shapers when you're there too?
I look at the boards and everybody's got their own gig.
Yes.
Everybody's got their own. I pride myself in my versatility. Like I pretty much shape anything from pool boards to guns to SUPs to. The only thing I don't do are the foil. I've done a few foil boards, but and Martin Daly was there. He's an dear old friend. He's been riding my boards for quite some time, and it's kind of cool just walking the show with Martin. And
just walking the show's fun. There's so much going on.
Yeah, you run into old friends. You get to see, new technology. Like there's a 3D printing. Did you check that out?
I kind of swung through it. Yeah.
Yeah, I watched them. It's the future. I mean, they got a ways to go because it takes 24 hours to print. A 6-foot board. They have thread. It's recycled rice paper. I don't write. But anyways, it prints the board from the tail up. It takes about 24 hours.
Wow.
The machines cost about 15 or 18 grand, and but I can see, just like I have on my wall, hanging on the wall, I have a draw knife, and I have a planer. But now I'm doing, since like the late 90s, I've been doing all my boards on the computer, and then we hand finish them. It's probably the next step in surfboard technology.
So that's funny. Okay, you brought that up. I went back to some old magazines just to find some fun things to talk about. Mm-hmm. Years ago, this is from 2010, I think, maybe 2007, right around that era, where there's like space age surfboards are here, and they're talking about like Tough Light, these things. So throughout the years, we keep thinking the next thing's coming. It seems like most shapers today are still with poly.
Yeah.
We get these technologies and then they kind of fade away or they don't.
Yeah. I've always tried, everything. I mean, we did vacuum bagging, I don't know, 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And I worked with carbon at GNS in the early 70s. And I have my opinion about carbon, all carbon boards. But, right now I think things are headed as, polyurethane foam is pretty old school. EPS is good. XTR 10 extruded styrofoam is good because it's waterproof. It's medium weight. It has to be glass with epoxy. In my mind, going forward, my first board is an asymmetrical 9.3 Carlex, an asymmetrical. Right. It was made for a regular foot, and I was a goofy foot, but I didn't know any better at the time.
Yeah.
And over the years I made, Henry Hester A-Sims and, Josh Kerr, he had a bunch of A-Sims for Chopu. And, I've been working with Envious Fins and reestablishing my relationship with Vince at Futures as we go forward. I think boards out of some type of waterproof foam, XTR 10 maybe, epoxy resin, asymmetrical, subtle. Not the crazy wild, like some of the, these, I don't call them underground or garage shapers, but whatever, artistic shapers, they tend to maybe go overboard, but body's not symmetrical. You don't surf the same front side as you do back side. Your front side turns are more drawn out. Your snaps are tighter radius. So I've been working with Envious, and as I said, I've reestablished my relationship with Vince at Futures, where I have fins now made out of G10. They have all my, I believe in interfoils. I've been a big believer since the late 90s. Curtis Hesselgrave, rest in peace. I asked him what's new in fins, and he says, I'm doing these fins for Laird, his toe fins, that have an interfoil. And I go, well, let's do some for surfboards. And so we did a whole series of them, and I took about 5 different variations down the Indo, and I was freaking on how they felt. So the next step is the G10, the interfoils, and now I'm having the fins made with offset bases. Your front side fin is maybe 1/4 inch, 3/8 of an inch farther forward, and your backside fin is about 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch farther back. I'm Tom Survey is a great photographer, and he's a decent surfer. I made him a board when I first got the computer. When I got the CNC machine, and he called me about 8 months later. He goes, "Oh, that board's so good. Can you replicate it?" And I go, "Oh yeah, no problem." So I just push repeat and glassed the board. And after a few weeks after he'd been writing, I go, "Well, Tom, what do you think?" He goes, "Well, it's good, but it's not as good as the first one."
Yeah.
And I said, "Okay." So I tried again, and he goes, "This one's a little bit better, but still not as good as the first one." Okay, bring the board down, and I looked at it, and did I tell you the story?
Yeah,
last
you did.
time? Oh, okay. Yeah, so
It's not good. No,
but it's the fact of the matter was
just
the fins were offset.
Yeah,
and that just validates how important fins are. There's so many elements to the fin. The size of the fin, the base of the fin, the rake, the cant, the angle, how they're positioned. Ran into Tom Curran once up in Huntington. He had one of my boards. He was just riding it, but all 3 fins were different size. I go, "Really? How's that working?" He goes, "It works pretty good." And when I was at the show, I gave Eric a set of ASIM fins, and I gave John Pizell a set of ASIM fins. I haven't heard back from him. It's been about 3 or 4 weeks, but I haven't heard back from him. But I think the future is some kind of waterproof extruded foam, epoxy resin, and subtle asymmetrical shape on the board and asymmetrical fin placement with fins with interfoils.
With that all being said, material-wise, it's not going to happen overnight. This is going to take a process, right? Mm-hmm. But for the most part, everyone's still doing what they were doing 30 years ago, 40 years ago.
Right.
Material-wise.
Yeah, polyurethane, polyester glass, polyester resin. Yeah.
There's always the next best thing, but it always seems to go backwards.
Yeah. Yeah, there's all kinds of different things you can do with cloth, too. Like I like Greg Mungo kind of showed me this. He'd grab the cloth and he'd pull it so it was off axis. So it was a little curve, and that would help keep the boards from breaking. And so our stock glass job is warp cloth 4 6-ounce top and bottom, and then S-cloth deck. The S-cloth is for compression strength, and it's a little bit more, but it's worth it.
So if someone's going to order a board from you, do you have this conversation if they say, "I want an alternative material"? Or do you just offer them poly or epoxy?
I ask them. Yeah, I'm pretty deep. When I put an order together, and I send it to my staff, I'm pretty detailed on the type of foam, the type of cloth, the type of fins, the type of boxes. To like, okay, PU yellow. It's a little bit 8-10% lighter foam.
Okay. All right.
Or E-poly, which is an epoxy resin with a polyurethane core, and I'll call out the blank. And stringers, I like ply stringers. Ply is better than a single piece, stronger. So you have 4 millimeter or 1/8 inch ply, or you have 8 millimeter, which is like 3/16. I'm a big fan of spruce. Talked to Jeff Holt almost a year ago, and they got some spruce back in the lineup. It's a blonde wood, and it's very strong. And Millennium Foam carries it. Are you handcuffed by who makes the foam? Like, there's only a few companies out there that are making blanks. Right? Yeah. Each foam maker has its pluses and its minuses. Mm-hmm. There's not a perfect one yet. No, there's some good ones, but there's always room for improvement. Whether it's the fins or the foam or the glassing or the designing, when I program a board, and sometimes I'll come back a couple of weeks later and I'll look at it and I go, I think I know how I can make it better. I can't help myself. I just do. And some people, I love this board you made me 5 years ago. Could you make me the same board? It's so hard to just change anything. Hit repeat. I know I can make it better. Right. I see what you're saying. The longevity of a regular surfer, a guy that surfs 5 days a week, 2 hours a day, a session. Mm-hmm. Do you have a thought on that board not being as springy or as fun? Does it lose something
with being used?
Yeah, well, I mean, every board's got a lifespan, and
Lifespan, that's what you go.
yeah. I have all these Word docs, because sometimes I keep getting asked the same questions by customers, and I don't know, 100 Word docs on different subjects, and one is, so your board has dents. It's for a while we were hand shaping the footwells into the boards, because when you first the problem with the surf tacks is they're great, they're light, they're strong, but they were so strong that you couldn't dent the deck, and you never really felt like with a regular like a regular construction like polyurethane or even epoxy, the board will dent and you'll settle and you get footwells. And so there is a lifespan to a board, like most sporting equipment. There's you have to restring your tennis racket, your baseball bat breaks, or
right.
It's just there's a and you want the optimum performance, so that usually means a fairly light surfboard, but you also want to get your foot density. You want to get settled.
You want to break it in.
Yeah, you want to break it in. Yeah. And the pro surfers, when they get a good board, they'll set it aside and they'll just use it in their heats or when they're doing an important filming session or something like that,
where they feel they're surfing better.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they'll save that board for the competition, and then they'll keep trying new boards and trying new boards. I don't have that many competitive surfers on my roster at the moment, but in the past, I mean, some of them would go through 60, 80 plus boards a year.
Wow.
Aki, I'd make him 2 or 3, 4 boards, and they'd last him a long time. He broke a nose off one in a Maruli contest.
Right.
Bob Hurley called me and goes, you mind making Aki a couple more boards? I go, yeah, sure. I'll even pay for them. I go, really?
Wow.
But now they get 8 or 10 boards for each event. That's a lot of boards.
Yeah.
And when they get a good one, they hang on to it. They're very careful with it, and they save it for their, the heats.
Should we, as a regular surfer, should he have it on his calendar? It's been how long do you think it's going to last? A year, 6 months? And I guess it depends on what they're surfing. There's a lot of, but let's say averagely.
Yeah, maybe 4 or 6 months. And
you just think about and order another one.
Yeah, and surfboards are, they're still relatively cheap. This is another word doc I have. Your board costs too much. When I first started surfing, a new board, a 9-foot board, gloss polish, glass on fin, was $200. Gas is 20 cents a gallon.
Right.
How much is gas now?
Yeah, $5.
Factor of 25. Now, a new surfboard is clear sanded finish with boxes, short, $800-900 maybe,
right.
Maybe a little bit more. It's a factor of 4 or 5, 6. People spend more on their Starbucks coffee than they do.
Oh yeah,
surfboards.
They do. But then you also got to put into account if they're married and they got a family.
Yeah.
So there's always that.
Yeah. Yeah, but a good surfboard, if you get 2 boards a year, that's
fair.
Set aside $5 a day, or maybe
Split
10.
Right.
$7 or $8 a day, and you could have 2 new surfboards a year.
That's right. Everyone wants those 2 boards too.
Yeah.
We all need new boards.
Yeah.
How important is the climate when you're shaping and especially glassing?
It's not so much shaping, but glassing. Yeah, you need to have temperature control, humidity. Humidity and temperature control for sure. If it's too cold, the resin doesn't go off. If it's too hot, it goes off too quick. And but shaping, it's I remember shaping in Hawaii and just sweating my brains out. And back in the day, we used to have paper masks, and you'd get them so sweaty and you couldn't breathe through them.
Oh yeah, it was like clogged. Yeah. We're all getting older. If you look in the lineups today, it's a lot of gray hairs, a lot of, let's say, 40, 50, 60-year-old surfing. Mm-hmm. There is always a younger generation and a few, but there's a lot less.
Right.
But the whole surfer world follows the young crew. Why are we always looking at the young guys when the majority of surfers are mid-age men for the most part?
I don't know if I agree with that.
Well, if you look at Stab Magazine or some of these, the press, the only press, They're always looking at, the mid-age CT Pro.
Yeah, I mean, if he's an average sized person and he stays in shape, he's going to want to keep riding, the smallest
true.
boards possible, whatever. But as you get older, you need more foam, and I don't know my word docs, but it's called Foam Is Your Friend. And,
Right. I agree 100% what you're saying.
At the end of the day, you want to have fun, and you got to catch waves to have fun. And,
That's right.
So if somebody surfs a lot and they're in good shape, they can continue to ride, short, high performance boards. And, the mid-lake thing has kind of been, for a long time, it was like short boards, fishes, or long boards, but then the mid-length thing started coming around, I don't know, 8-10 years ago, whatever, eggs and things. And there was a lot of, great mid-length designs, short, like boards in the high 6s, the low 7s, and maybe the mid 7s that still have a lot of performance, but you can catch waves, have fun. And,
Yeah.
As you get older, the youngsters are, waiting to, you just, you want to get your waves. So
Let's say someone orders a brand new board from you. It's made for like 4 to 6 foot blacks, right?
yeah.
But the day they get it, it's 2 foot La Jolla Shores. Should they hold off
Yeah.
before trying the board?
You should, yeah. I mean, you should when you get a new board, you should let it cure for at least a week or so, maybe,
Okay.
if you can. But if the surf's good, go for it.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, you should, when you get a board made for a certain type of wave, you should, you shouldn't, you should take your, 7-foot blackbird out at 2-foot shores. and vice versa, you shouldn't take your 5-6 fish out at 8-foot blacks.
Right.
It might work, but it probably won't be the best board.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point of a quiver too. Over time you build up a quiver. Boards designed for certain types of waves.
If you were to talk to a surfer that's coming to you, they live in your area, let's say La Jolla, and they wanted a 3-4 board quiver, that's going to be what their wife's going to let them have. What would you suggest?
Well, you start with a small wave board, and that's usually a shorter, wider board. And then you have a high performance board, which is when the surf starts to get good. And then you have a step up, which is, 2, 3, 4 inches longer. And then you have a semi gun or a gun, which is 6, 8 inches longer, maybe more. Narrow, pointed rocker. And, maybe an ideal quiver might be 5 boards, where if you're the average size guy, 160, 70 pounds, and some kind of a fishy thing or a short, wide thing. And you get your performance board, which is, 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", and then the step up 6'5", 6'6", semi-gun 6'8", 6'10", and then a gun that's 7'4", 7'6", 7'8", somewhere in there.
So then we'd probably need a 5 board quiver because we're going to want to throw a fun board in, or like a mid-length, or some sort of fish.
6 board quiver then.
Yeah.
And if you got sack, you have a 10 board quiver.
Well, that's what we all want.
Yeah.
You work on it through life, right? But then the board ages out.
Yeah.
I guess my point is you should know your shaper and work with him
Yeah.
a lot. And the same shaper. Or should you jump ship and go?
It doesn't hurt to try, other people's boards, and you might find something you like. But if you have a good shaper, he should be able to understand what your needs are, meet you in the middle. Yeah. So yeah, it's good. It's good to develop a relationship with a shaper. Somebody that keeps your records. They know your dims and your volume and all that stuff, and how you surf. And I always encourage people to try other people's boards. Usually they come back. Every once in a while they don't. But the same thing when I was developing my surfing. Even though I had started shaping my own boards, I got boards from lots of other shapers for the first 5 years, just to understand. I tried a Bonzer. Mike Eaton made me a Bonzer, and it had certain attributes and it had some disadvantages. And I shaped next to Skip Fry at GNS for a few years, and I tried some of his boards. And his boards are very unique. They got their own, their own vibe, and I got some brewers, Sam Hawks, local shaper Randy Pidd, and Bear Miranda's boards. And yeah, for about the first 3 or 4 years after I started shaping, I tried other people. I had other shapers make me boards just to try to understand what the designs, what the designs did and how they work.
Going back to the boardroom, what did you think of the guys in the glass room working for that competition to move up to the next grade?
The shapers?
Shapers.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because Dan Mann won, and Dan Mann used to ride for me.
Yeah,
and then he got involved with the CNC machines, and then he started shaping. He's good, He's I was tripping because he's shaping in bare feet, and I man, that's hard on the body. Hand shaping is hard on the body. I've had both hips replaced. I had to wear orthotics because my right arch had fallen. And it was like, it starts at the feet, then it works its way up the knees, the hips, the back. So many back issues for years from, all the hand shaping I did. And, a lot of shapers, as they get older, they get, tendonitis, or they wear, wrist braces and things. Dan's a young, healthy guy, so he's like, Dan, he's shaping with bare feet. He goes, yeah. Crazy.
Did you enjoy watching the process of those guys doing it?
Yeah, I spent a little bit of time watching them. Okay. I was so busy, talking with old friends, and it was hard to even get around from, it'd take about an hour to go about 3 booths,
You get stopped.
You get stopped, yeah. Whether it's an old friend or if it's a customer or somebody wants to talk to you about whatever, design or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's a great show. Scott does a good job. And, he came to me when he was thinking about doing the show. And I said, that's a great idea. I'm backing you, man. And he's continued to do it. And it's
a good time. It's a fun weekend.
Yeah.
But you're tired.
Yeah.
When you go home, you're like,
oh, it was hot. This last one was pretty hot. Yeah.
Did you see any up and coming shapers, or any booths that you really liked when you were
there? Like I said, I take something home from almost everyone that was at the show, and a little bit of new technology. It was, but then there's a guy. He's got a skill planer collection.
I saw that. Yeah. I looked at that. You were probably way more interested than I was.
Yeah, but like I said, as time goes by, there's the draw knife, there's a skill planer, and then there's the accurate planer, and now there's a computer, and who knows? Maybe the boards of the future will be some kind of waterproof foam that's made in a 3D printer.
Yeah,
and probably the hand lamination, the vacuum bag thing will probably be developed, and it'll advance, and maybe robots will be making it.
I wouldn't doubt it.
We'll be deciding on the computer, but the robots will be building them.
AI is coming. Trump said so.
Yeah.
Just a footnote. Joe Roper's booth was excellent. I don't know if you walked in there.
Yeah.
It was like a history lesson of kind of your era of those times.
Yeah.
Is it important to stay core in surfing?
Well, as I said earlier, I just love trying to help people with their surfboard needs. They don't have to be a pro; they can be a bro.
Right, and that's the core. The bro is the core guy.
Yeah, and if a guy's only been surfing for a couple of years, I try and coach them and give them what I think is the best board to help them improve.
That's fair. Yeah.
And sometimes, sometimes they're kind of hard headed, but most of the time they listen, and then they get the board, they ride it a few times, and they come back to me and they're stoked. And that, to me, that's core.
There you go.
Yeah.
I guess I'm more thinking about like how a few years ago WSL was trying to market Middle America and trying to be cool.
Well,
the surfers are what's keeping this business alive.
Yeah, and the other thing that the future holds is the wave pools. The wave pools
and they're just getting better.
They're getting better, and we're getting better at making boards for the wave pools. And it was several years ago. Maybe not say I predicted, but my call is that at some point in time they're going to have the world champion. There'll be three heats to decide the world champion. You'll have a saltwater champion, you'll have a freshwater, a pool champion, and then they'll have the world contest will be, okay, whoever's got the most points as you come into the final gets to make the call on whether it's going to be in the pool or the ocean.
Yeah. Is it harder to shape for a team rider pro versus the guy that lives and surfs wind and sea every day?
The pros are more demanding, but it's good. That's what helps me advance my designs.
Yeah.
You know, working with not necessarily pros, but with good surfers. I call them test pilots. You know, top local surfers. Case in point, I mean, like Josh Kerr, he rode my boards, I don't know, for 10, 12, 13 years. And I remember towards the end, one time he came up to me, he goes, "Bro, I just rode the best board." I go, "Who made it?" He goes, "Well, you did." And I go, "Well, when?" He goes, "Well, it was sitting in my garage for a couple of years, but I just tried it. It worked insane."
And just sat there.
Okay.
Well, speaking of Josh Kerr, and I want to say this is from memory, in the 2000s, there was an article coming up, I think, with Josh riding single fins you made.
Bali single.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got a couple out.
Oh, are you still selling those?
Oh, we get occasional interest in it, but
Okay.
like every now and then there'll be like Vissla does something where they. And I think Quicksilver just had a contest in Europe where they had boards from a certain period of time.
Yes. Yeah.
And then they also have contests where there's, the first round is single fins, second round's twin fins, second
that's
round's
cool.
tri
I
fins,
love
second
that.
round's quads or whatever. You know?
I love that.
Yeah, but yeah, it was a Bali single.
Is there room for single fins in today's world?
I think, yeah, sure, yeah. But in my humble opinion, I like quads and I think twinsers are insane.
Better.
Yeah. And
Performance-wise.
and fins, with the interfoils and, depends on the material that, type of, how big the waves are, what the material is, the fins.
How has the surf industry changed? Let's say just the last few years. Is it changing?
The biggest change in the last few years has been the direct-to-consumer business. I love Amazon. Every day I'm buying something on Amazon, and with social media, and websites, we're doing more and more direct-to-consumer business. It's important to have a surf shop where people can come and touch and feel surfboards, and
100%.
But it's hard because the margins aren't that good on the surfboards, and it's hard on the surf shop owners because they take up a lot of space. Mm-hmm. They have a pair of shorts they can make almost the same amount of money that they make on a surfboard.
Yeah.
But it takes up,
you fold it up. Yeah.
It takes up hardly any space. Surfboards take up a lot of space, and then they age. The builders have to pay the suppliers, and they have to pay the employees. And it's hard to get the shops to pay, when you pay on COD. So they want terms, and it's a hard business, that retail business. Going forward, we'll have some shops, but we're really focused on building a direct-to-consumer business. That way I get to talk to the customer, talk to your shaper. Really, sometimes we have to go back to the drawing board, sometimes 2 or 3 times, but they get what they think they want, or I give them what I think they need. And, and sometimes, we have to meet in the middle, but, and I enjoy working, with a customer. So it's going down that path.
Okay. Would you have predicted that 30 years ago?
No. I mean, we didn't have Amazon.
Right.
We barely had cell phones.
Computers.
We barely had cell phones and computers. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Are a lot of the orders you're getting done on someone's phone during lunch?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a thing called a board builder, and you can design your own board.
Oh, that's cool.
We have all the models, and then we have stock dims, and then if you want to build a custom one, you can build a custom one. You can have custom color and whatever fin setup you want, and there's always room for improvement too on our website, but it's as it evolves, it'll.
Technology's always changing. It's always getting better.
Yeah.
What about social media? Do you like it?
Yeah, Kenny Lewis handles our social media. We focus primarily on Instagram. We had some issues where we lost control of our Facebook page, but
That seems to happen to a lot of people.
But we're getting it back. I used to do Instagram. I haven't done it since last February, but it's a chance to show off board design, a chance to let people see how the boards work, team riders, male, female, young, old, whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes a little bit of humor is good.
Yep.
And Kenny's got a great sense of history. I don't know, we've known each other for 35, 40 years almost. Yeah, we go way back. And it's important because, I've been around for for a long time.
Right. Well, I mean, that's what's so important too is keeping that history and kind of sharing it with other people. Mm-hmm. You can do that via Instagram. I feel like, and you guys are doing that, so I kind of like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of different social media apps, but I tend to favor, I think, Instagram.
I think surfers favor Instagram personally. Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm older. You've shaped all these years. When someone comes into the shop and they're stoked, they maybe found it in grandma's garage, an old board, an old Canon that you shaped. Do they come in here and want to chat about it sometimes, or they send you emails?
Yeah, I get people. I mean, yesterday I was on a conference call with this lady that's helping me with the business, and I hadn't met her yet, but she goes, "Oh, my husband has a board from from you in the Canyon days. He doesn't surf anymore, but he just loves the boards."
Right.
It gives me a warm feeling. I don't let it go to my head, but it gives me a really warm feeling to think about all the years, people that help them with their surfing and help them find happiness. Or
what do you feel about surfboards being an art piece in someone's house? Maybe a centerpiece.
Yeah, I mean, surfboards are part art, part science, part number. In terms of performance boards and stuff, numbers, yes. But in terms of artistic, I've made wall hangers.
You'll still do it today.
Yeah, I mean, we did a board for Lamborghini for its 60th anniversary a couple of years ago. It was a beautiful gun, beautiful airbrush. I've done a lot of balsa and balsa redwood wall hangers, agave guns, and usually it's a longer board and it's got some nice color, or it's a unique construction. Yeah.
What about boards coming out of someone's garage that Aki won on, or something like that along those lines? Are these boards showing up too? Are you hearing about them?
Once in a while, yeah. I mean, I have not a huge board collection, but I got about 100 and some odd boards that that we've just started unwrapping, and we've been bringing them down. And I let some of my test pilots and stuff ride these 30-year-old boards. Like maybe Kalani Rob's little 16.5-inch wide board, or some twin fins from back in the late 70s. And they kind of get a kick out of it,
You're unwrapping these boards. Are you going and looking at the boards again? Like it's a new board? Like, what did I do back then?
Yeah, I wander back there. Like, I'll probably, Like, there's a whole bunch that just got unwrapped the other day, and I haven't checked them out. But I trip on it, and I look at them, And
do you see how far you've come as a shaper?
Yeah. I mean, I've got a Morris Cole back there that doesn't have any. It's a glass blank, but it doesn't have any fin boxes or fins in it. But it's still, it's kind of a typical Morris deal where he's got pretty hard edges all the way, and I think it's a forward V model. And I've got a lot of other, got some lightning bolts, and I recently thinned out my collection a little bit. I had Kenny sell off some boards, Skip Fries, and a couple of balsa boards.
Oh, wow. Okay.
A couple old single fins.
Do you look back at history and go, we kind of stopped doing that, and maybe we should bring this back, shaping wise?
We used to do our own vacuum bagging, and I think that's a part of technology that's still needs to be pursued or developed. Like I said earlier, I every time something new comes along, I give it a try.
Mm-hmm. You're very open-minded like that.
Yeah, and I've got some old stringerless boards. I got boards with fiberglass rope inserts on the rails.
Sometimes the guy, he can be a great surfer, or girl can be a great surfer.
Mm-hmm.
Is it easy to go over their heads? Because you're educated. This is your business. This is your job. This is your living. And we just want to get some good wave. We just want to be stoked on that board.
Yeah.
And you can tell us all these things, and at the end of the day, it's over our heads.
Yeah, I overwhelm people sometimes with how much information I give them, I think. But, some people appreciate it.
Totally.
The other people go, oh, yeah, okay.
Is the average surfer educated enough in boards, or should they put a little more time into?
There's all sorts.
Yeah.
Really, there's some that are pretty clued in. Most people just, they trust. You talk to your shaper. It's one slogan I have: "Trust your shaper" is another one. So you just
100%.
You got to find somebody that you can work with. That is willing to listen, but they have the knowledge to help you improve.
All right, everybody. So this is Mike and Rusty Preisendorfer, and we're out of here. Later.
Aloha, mahalo.
You go left, I go right. Man, this wave is out of sight. Going surfing, going surfing, going surfing with friends. Ride this wave to the shore. Paddle out, I'm gonna catch 10 more. Going surfing, going surfing, going surfing with friends. I don't care if it's wrong or right. I'm gonna do it all day, I'm gonna do it all night. I'm going surfing, I'm going surfing, going surfing with friends. On my way, it's a beautiful day. I'm going surfing, I'm going surfing, go